I get the feeling, because you're the resident ensemble for the building, that you literally wake up every morning with the keys and you open the building.
I would like that.
And at night you come and you lock up and be sure the lights are off.
I would like that very much.
I mean, it is your building. I'll never forget, Tony Bennett was the second performance in the building in December of 2016. The fact is that during the performance, that he said more than once, he just wanted to acknowledge the beauty and sound of the building, and he had said that they don't make these anymore, and whoever designed this knew what they were doing.
To make a $45 million investment at that time, which I would say easily today would have been 80, 90?
Oh yeah,
Easily, maybe over 100 million, correct? To make that investment back then, understanding the needs of the community, to find a home for the symphony, and to give credit to the symphony, we have a symphony as comparable to Chicago, New York, the envy of London. I'm telling you, it really is a prize.
The amount of concrete that is put into that building is enough to have a 6-foot wide sidewalk, 6 inches thick, 85 miles, from McAllen all the way to South Padre Island.
Welcome to Stories Buildings Tell, a podcast devoted to showcasing architectural marvels in South Texas and hearing the amazing stories these buildings tell. Today we're going to talk about the McAllen Performing Arts Center, the crown jewel of architecture in the Rio Grande Valley. She's got many stories to tell, and joining me are 3 good storytellers who have much to share about this beautiful, functioning building. I'm Brian Godinez with ERO Architects, and I'll facilitate these fascinating stories. Joining me are City of McAllen Mayor Pro Tem Victor Seby Haddad, the owner of the building, project architect Eli Ochoa, the designer of the building, and Maestro Peter Dabrowski, music director and conductor of the Valley Symphony Orchestra, the resident ensemble of the building. Congratulations on your 25 years at VSO.
Thank you very much.
The McAllen Performing Arts Center is a building that has many interesting stories, so let's get started. I'll set some context up. So it's located in the heart of South Texas in McAllen at 801 Convention Center Boulevard. This modern state-of-the-art performance center is 93,000 square feet and seats a little over 1,800 people with 3 levels of seating, a 4-story tower, and a membership lounge inside overlooking the neighboring Oval Park and the 174,000 square foot McAllen Convention Center, which opened 9 years before the Performing Arts Center, as nearby to hotels, restaurants, retail stores, and shops, plus the beautifully respectful War Memorial. Design began in 2014 after a feasibility study was conducted by the city supporting the need for the Performance Center for reasons we'll learn about later. It replaced the McAllen Civic Center, which was built in 1959 and at the time was the primary facility of performance in the McAllen area. It opened in November 2016 with a Broadway tour of Annie. Next year, the building celebrates its 10th anniversary. Since its opening, the Performing Arts Center stage has hosted a wide variety of events, including concerts, Broadway theater, ballet, comedy, recitals, dance, and more. It's known for its excellent acoustics and comfortable seating with great sight lines from any part of the auditorium. Every seat is a great seat. The facility was designed with high-tech amenities, including excellent acoustics and lighting that lend themselves well to any type of performance, and is on a low flight path of the McAllen Airport, but you wouldn't know it. Economically, the facility has been good to McAllen, infusing a $60 million economic impact to the city just last year and most likely higher this year. A third of attendees travel more than 50 miles to see performances there, and 1,500 jobs are created or sustained because of this building. Congratulations, Seby, to that accomplishment. So, let's start. How's the coffee?
Amazing.
Everybody enjoying the coffee?
Yes, sir.
Thank
It's
you.
so great that y'all are joining us for the first podcast of a series where we think a lot of great buildings in South Texas have good stories to tell. From old buildings that have been around for a long time. I was telling Seby earlier that the Lomita Chapel and Church in South Mission has great stories to tell, as well as this new McAllen Performing Arts Center that was built some years back. And I wanted to ask you all, what comes to mind first? What's in your first thoughts when I say the McAllen Performing Arts Center?
I would say iconic. And iconic in the sense that it's one of a kind. Second, that it leaves an impression. The first time you see it, you do not forget it. Those two things combined on top of the impact and the draw that it has, really makes it sort of the jewel of what you described as sort of the convention center site.
Yeah. How about for you, Eli? What comes to mind?
First word is amazing. And I think even more than that is the effort that it took, all the design professionals that were involved with this project. We probably had over 60 design professionals, not to mention the staffs and everybody else involved. I think a lot of people just don't realize what goes into that. But managing that whole group was a lot of fun.
Not to mention probably over 200 people on the construction side.
Oh, yeah, that was excluded. That's just from the design side.
And the think tank that occurred during two different groups of city commissioners and the staff that were involved in all of those decisions that were into the building. So it was a massive effort to be able to put that building together. How about you, Peter? What comes to mind?
Inspiring, elegant, matching the music of the Valley Symphony Orchestra during the performances. Exceptional place, and as I said, I think very, very nicely aligned with the quality of the orchestra, with programming we are offering, and to whom we are offering. It's besides regular concerts, as you know, we have educational concerts for close to 7,000 children from South Texas every year. So when I say inspiring, not only for musicians and me, but also for our young audiences as well.
Let me put the weight on your shoulders and say that, but the building was designed for you.
Well, thank you. I feel very honored. I feel very comfortable in it.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
I can feel it.
It seemed like every design meeting was always focusing on either the sound or the sight lines for the symphony orchestra, and specifically the interior. As the resident of the building, that to me is a major accomplishment. That every performance has been the sounds the same, looks the same when you're there.
It's a very high standard to keep up, because classical music, symphonic music requires very special places to be presented, to be heard, to be played, and not every facility is able to provide us with that. And with this iconic building, with our home, because that's, for us, it's our home, our new home, it's really important that we feel like at home, and we do. And all the standards are really very high, and they've been met, and we feel very comfortable and really tremendously inspired by providing the highest level of performances to our community.
What comes to mind for me is Tony Bennett. I'll never forget. Tony Bennett was the second performance in the building in December of 2016. And I was so looking forward. And one of my favorite artists, I got to see him, walk up to him at a small little bar in an Italian restaurant, went to a Broadway show in New York, and he was there, and walked up to him and said hello. But the fact is that during the performance, that he said more than once that because at that time, that afternoon, he had done some rehearsals, and he just wanted to acknowledge the beauty and sound of the building. And he had said that they don't make these anymore. And whoever designed this knew what they were doing. And Eli, unfortunately, you weren't at that performance, sitting next to me.
I was at the hospital.
I know. I was so proud when he said that. And he said it more than once. And then he decided to show off the sound. He had a four-person ensemble with him, a drummer, pianist, bassist. And he said, I want you to hear the acoustics. For those of you up in the back, you're going to get to enjoy this. He put the microphone down and sang a cappella, Fly Me to the Moon. And it was amazing, and it was incredible the way that sounded in there. Yeah, but the sound of that building is what I just always, and by the way, I will remember that when I saw Annie, the first opening of Annie, the first performance, I sat there and I leaned over to my wife and I said, I don't know why I'm nervous, but I just hope the building doesn't fall. I kept thinking of that. It was its opening. I don't know why, because I just remember all the structural work that was done in that structure with all that concrete and all those piers, over 260 piers and all that. And I kept thinking, oh, please don't fall, please don't fall. But Seby, let me ask you, so why did the city of McAllen decide to want to spend $45 million to build this building?
Well, we've got to give a lot of credit, as you mentioned, to several administrations, several mayors. Projects like this simply do not happen in a single group. So the positive continuity of government and leadership that understands what you need to bring into the city to continue driving, whether it's economic impact or quality of life, whichever the goal is. This one is one of those rare investments that does both. And to make a $45 million investment at that time, which I would say easily today would have been 80, 90?
Oh yeah,
At least.
Easily, maybe
Yeah.
over 100 million, correct?
I'm gonna say, Eli, $450 a square foot.
Yeah, I know.
At
That's
the time.
unbelievable.
At the time.
Now
At the
it's
time.
now it's closer to $1,000 a
$1,000.
square foot facility like that.
That's correct. That's correct. So more than double the money, and that to make that investment back then, understanding the needs of the community to find a home for the symphony, and to give credit to the symphony, we're accustomed to seeing the Valley Symphony Orchestra here in the Rio Grande Valley. It's not every community that has a symphony, and especially one of this magnitude and this size and this quality that brings in artists and players from all around the world. We have a symphony as comparable to Chicago, New York, the envy of London. I'm telling you, it really is a prize. So to find them a home, but to understand and foresee the future needs of the community and how it will drive quality of life, economic impact, and more attraction to the city was really a vision of various leaders to bringing it to fruition. And while the convention center itself is sort of considered sort of the centerpiece with the pond, it's really more of a utility. The convention center is the utility of it, but the MPAC is really the crown jewel of that plaza. And that's the one that when we bring guests and when we bring dignitaries, when we bring people from all over the world and throughout Mexico, we host them and we take them to the Performing Arts Center. That sets the tone of the McAllen standard, and it definitely relates to them.
There's many cultural references in that building that Eli designed in that building, both interior as well as exterior. So when you say that, what you're saying is that McAllen Performing Arts Center, specifically the lobby, the grand lobby, is amazing.
Yes.
It creates a first lasting impression of the city of McAllen.
100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly correct.
And for you, I'm just curious, why did the Valley Symphony Orchestra need this facility?
Well, we are here to serve the community, and that's the best place for us to be, really, to do our job to the highest quality, to offer highest quality performance of music, symphonic music with chorale as well. We need to have this very, very special, very specialized place, not only elegant, but acoustically really refined, because imagine orchestra of 75 musicians playing different instruments and 150 members of the chorale at some times, mariachi groups, soloists from all over the world. To put it in sync, we have to hear each other. We have to offer really a special bond so our audience enjoys this.
Well, Peter, when you go to the performance, you go to the Broadway show and you walk in, and then you come to a Valley Symphony Orchestra performance, the building literally transforms into another theater. You've got this orchestra shell of this pecan wood-like effect that's all around you. And then you've got these curtains or the sound baffling that shift in the building. That was specifically designed for you. So you were obviously very involved in the acoustical design that you wanted for that.
Yes, wood is very important for the symphony orchestra. A lot of instruments in the symphony are made from wood, the strings and woodwinds, as well percussion, some of the percussion instruments as well. So really this connection of material, so to speak, the shell and the instruments, that works the best. And you mentioned artists from all over the world coming and performing. Imagine performing Rachmaninoff piano concerto, Chopin concerto, pieces which were written over 150 years ago in a completely different era. And sometimes it's hard to imagine that we can repeat or give the proper presentation of these pieces in South Texas. All of a sudden they are coming from all over the world, soloists. They are on the stage facing audience, and They are very much impressed.
I get the feeling, because you're the resident ensemble for the building, that you literally wake up every morning with the keys and you open the building.
I would like that.
And at night,
That's not
at
the
night
fact.
you come and you lock up and be sure the lights are
I
off.
would
and
like that very
you
much.
let the cat out and then you leave and go home. Because, I mean, it is your building, in essence.
And we would like to spend even more time there because, you like it and you get better every time. Every performance offers, especially new works, offers new experience. But, we are so excited about our role in the community, having this home. It's for the community. Commissioner mentioned long-term planning, and I'm so impressed with our community because it really took a long time, but we end up with a tremendous design, and for us, it's a home.
We have a video clip, Bronson, of the VSO performing in the theater, and what I like about the performance is that orchestra shell that's around you is what's amazing. And so what comes to mind is the sound.
Yeah.
The building sound is what, when I walk away, regardless of whether it's a single act comedian or whether it's a concert or it's a Broadway show, the sound is what blows me away in terms of what I hear. Eli, when I think of sound, first off, in terms of challenges, you have the low flight path of the airport right above that building. And then you have the sound of the air conditioning systems that are going on. And then trying to hear his woodwinds or trying to hear a performance speak or a comedian do his performance. How did you accomplish that in terms of the structure of the building to be able to have that audience walk away thinking how blown away they are with the sound?
Yeah, well, before I answer that question, one of the things that really makes me feel good about this project is seeing how the end users like using it and how it's really kind of met their expectations. Because when we started this whole project, it was a dream. And from the time it started, from planning from the city to the time it was completed, probably 6 to 8 years, somewhere in that area. About 2 years in construction, about 2.5 years in design, and then all the lead up work that the city had to do just to get us to that point to start. So hearing kind of the stories of Mr. Dabrowski and Seby here next to me I'm glad that they're enjoying it, because that's really what was the impetus when we first started this project. And I know he wants us to keep it short, but this is a long question to answer. I'll try to.
And Bronson, while he's talking, if we can show some of the exteriors and interiors of the building as he's talking, this would be a good time for us to see some of the visuals.
Yeah, kind of continuing on with your question is, there's a lot of expectations. The city had a lot of expectations, and they outlined those for us very succinctly. And also the Valley Symphony had a lot of expectations and outlined those very succinctly. And so trying to make sure that we matched both of those expectations, and then that's just managing expectations. Now you have to go design a building. So you have to go and assess and analyze all the environmental constraints. And you mentioned one being the airport and the flight line, that this building sits right underneath the flight line. How are we going to handle those acoustics for situations like that? And we came up with some really clever ideas, and I could go into that, but that's part 2 of this video.
Well, but it's obviously, when you get in there, you see those beautiful rings.
Oh, yeah.
They don't serve just an aesthetic purpose.
Everything in there was done centered around acoustics.
Yeah.
From the size of the hall, the volume of the hall, those rings were put in so that we could kind of direct some of those acoustics to where they're supposed to go.
Right.
Because you got sound coming from the stage, and then you have sound coming to the seat that's bouncing off the walls and coming back. There's a very clear little window that you have to match with that. And so we ended up designing the rings so that we could match those reverberation times so that we kind of hit the sweet spot with those. And because the hall had to be so big to get the vibrance out of it, we had to install these rings to kind of help bring it back down to the individual person. And to put 1,800 seats, and Mr. Dabrowski can tell you this right away, requires a huge hall. And yet what we ended up doing is we designed it in a way to where we could kind of make it more intimate. And so there's a certain amount of intimacy that you get in this hall that you don't get in most 1,800 seat halls. And, all that is has to be taken into account because our ultimate goal was we have Broadway shows that require a very low reverberation time to a symphony that's on the opposite end of the spectrum. How do we manage this multi-purpose facility and be able to match the acoustics for both of those? And so that became another big design issue, and we handled it with some really cool ideas. And so the hall can be set up, we call it variable acoustics. The hall can be set up so that you match the acoustics that are required for one type of performance, and then within 30 minutes to an hour, you can completely convert the acoustics in the room to match a different kind of acoustical requirements. That in itself was a lot of fun in trying to figure that one out. And then obviously to keep the sound out, because we can't allow for sound to be coming in, any sound from the outside, particularly a jet taking off or landing.
Even the air flow of the air conditioning system, which is underneath.
Go to almost any building and you're going to hear the air conditioning going, and it's a little hiss.
But you designed it so that it flows underneath.
Yeah. So what we did to handle that dilemma is we developed a plenum underneath the seating. So there's a whole plenum. Part of it you can walk in it. That's how big that plenum is. And so the air just kind of filters up from these little holes that are in the floor. We have a escutcheon and cover over the top of it. And so the air just kind of permeates into the room. It doesn't flow into the room.
Doesn't push hard.
And so, and then the other thing we had to do from a mechanical point of view is we had to lower it so that the volume of air coming into the room was within a certain tolerance. We tried to get under 200 to 150 cubic feet per minute, which is really slow. Okay. And to AC a hall as big as that one is, it required a lot of work, and all the duct work, other than the return air, all the supply duct work, everything that's bringing the cold air in, is very low volume, and requires huge duct work. But we did it because the entire floor underneath the seating area of the hall, whether it's the orchestra side or the parterre side, it's a one big, huge volume that we fed air into it and just let it kind of filter up. And hearing how the end user is enjoying it, to me, is amazing.
Well, it is. And Peter, to be able to hear one performer with one instrument, with no mic, not every instrument has a microphone.
Yeah,
but be able to hear that one soloist, be able to hear that, is a testament to all of the design work that was done to be able to have that sound in that building.
I'm marveling about the fact that when I heard that the building, we've been waiting for this building. We heard about planning for years, and the whole community was so excited. And when I heard the first time that it's going to be on the pathway of landing planes, I was sort of surprised, at least to say.
Or you thought they were insane.
Well, something like that.
Yeah.
Because how are we going to? isolate the sound of
A
So
lot
that-
of
that
a lot of-
one was
a lot
my
of-
call.
A lot of concrete.
That was my
lot
call.
of
I did a lot of concrete.
And I cannot tell you how pleased I am and congratulations, because when we have rehearsal, when we have concerts, and when there's this moment and strings are shimmering and there's a solo from the oboe, and you hear somebody, making a move at the very end of the balcony, and I'm waiting for the sound of the plane. Never ever happens.
Never.
So congratulations,
Peter,
It's really something else.
You have guests that arrive from all over the world that
Yes.
perform in there. So what do those walls in those buildings say about what those guests are saying? What are they saying to you? What are they telling your folks there when they perform and or rehearse
They are
there?
blown away. They are surprised. They are impressed, and they want to come back. They all do want to come back because
The ability to perform in that type of facility?
they never expected this. And you can sense it that among all of us, there's a lot of excitement about this building. I'm proud of having this building called a home, especially for our musicians, our performers. But it's simply an exciting space, and that's so stimulating and inspiring. I mentioned young students coming to the lobby. It will stay with them for the rest of their lives. They're inspired. That we don't have a lot of tall buildings in the valley, but all of a sudden they are coming to a really spectacular space. The staircase, they are being bussed, thousands of them. Imagine being 7, 8 years old. You're coming and everything looks so elegant.
Even from the expressway with the different lights that change in the exterior.
Correct.
And I wanted to bring that up with you, Seby. So there are a lot of cultural references that Eli's team put on that building that create a sense of belonging. And the palm fronds of the exterior and the way they highlight with the lighting, and the mesquite wood pecan effect of the interior lobby that you see, and the colors that represent the sunsets and sunrises
That's
of the
right.
valley. Not to mention the bird that is always transiting from the north to the south, the bunting and the colors of the
Indigo.
bunting.
Indigo bunting.
Indigo bunting. Why is that important? Why is that important to McAllen and to residents to have that sense of belonging, or even to the word that Peter used, a sense of home?
Well, I think you want it to be relatable to the community, and similar to what you're trying to do here is there's always a story to tell behind the building. And so all those small nuances and details over time might be forgotten or unseen by the masses, but when students show up, when students go, or when community members go, or you bring people from the outside in and you make those connections and you tell them about those details and how they tie into the building, it simply can't be replicated anywhere else. And they yearn to have those types of connections for their projects because it is very unique and special to have that. And this is one of those projects where I think form and function didn't have to sacrifice for each other. And I think that's why it was such an excellent result. Because usually, if you've got a project, we start out with a beautiful design and you see that sort of diminish for the sake of function, maybe cost or utilization. And this is one of those buildings, due to the hard work of Eli and I guess 60 plus designers and everyone involved. They said, no, neither form nor function is going to sacrifice. Not only are they not going to sacrifice, we're going to maximize both. And so the impression you get, just the visual impression that stays with you from the lobby to the performance hall. And then when you see it being utilized or you see it in action, it's even more extravagant and it's even more impressive. And so that's why I think this is such a successful project, such a sort of piece for the city of McAllen and really for the entire region.
Yeah. And why are those cultural references to the design important, Eli, to you?
Well, I've always, any project I've taken on is always respecting the land, the people, and the culture of the community that we happen to be serving, whether it's in Houston or El Paso, San Antonio area, Dallas area. Here in McAllen was great because now I got to actually put in my own personal input into the design work. And so, and designing the building on the outside, I don't know if you can tell, but the scallops on the outside of the building, the hall, actually replicated my palm tree that was in my backyard. And because it all kind of scallops up. And so I said, that's a beautiful way to express what it's like to be in the valley, because that's something that you see as a child. You see it growing up as you're taking care of your palm trees or somebody else is taking care of them. You see them. And so it kind of gives you a nice relationship to it. And then, the bougainvilleas and some of the colors that we used on the inside of the hall, the indigo bunting, we have a very narrow path where this little bird migrates north and south. It's only like through Hidalgo County, believe it or not. I mean, it's that narrow a path. And so we took its plumage and replicated it on the carpet in the lobby. And so we, you start drawing inspirations from that. The rings didn't just come about. Okay, yes, they came about, or a requirement of those rings was acoustical by far. But the rings also came about by when you're sitting there on the river and you're seeing the sun go down. If you happen to be in the right place, and I happen to have been in the right place at that time, but you can just see this glow of lights the stratification of the lights and the reds and the deep blues and the oranges and the yellows. And so we were able to replicate that. And then when you look up after dark, what do you see? You don't see black. You see a real deep blue color, and you see all the little stars. And so, you remember as a kid just kind of laying down and, in your backyard looking up and seeing these stars and everything. I said, wow, what a beautiful, we need to do this here. So yes, there's a lot of technology that goes into it, but then there's also a lot of what I call feeling or heart that goes into the design. And, sometimes that becomes esoteric and people don't really notice it. So to be able to tell that story, we could do part 3 on that one.
But for the people that don't notice it, there's probably, if you're from
look how
the community,
gorgeous that is. Look at the
there's
image.
a subconscious draw to it. There's an appeal that maybe they can't describe, and part of that has to be, I think, all those regional ties.
Yeah, it's growing up down here in the valley.
Yeah, but it goes back to that sense of belonging, and I think every
That's right.
community wants to accomplish that, is to have a facility or facilities that create a sense of belonging,
right.
a part of the community.
That's theirs.
And Peter, where are you from?
I'm from Poland originally. I'm from Warsaw, Poland. And, one of the first requests I had was the one that the stage ought to be large enough to not only accommodate the chorale, over 100 members, not only the symphony at the same time, 75 members, but also the large mariachi group. And dance. And dance, at the same time.
Yeah.
So we are talking about really 200 performance at the same time on the stage. And we did several performances with Mariachi Azatlan, with some groups from Mexico as well, mariachi from Mexico together. And that was possible because of the really size of the stage, and everybody felt comfortable. And what happens on the stage, it's one thing, but also very important is what is happening behind the stage, because we have to come to the building, we have to open our instrument boxes, we have to change. So
I've heard the backstage has a lot of room and
Yes.
has a lot of ability to be able to take 200 people coming into a performance and accommodate that.
Yeah, so this is, what happened on the stage is one thing, but
The backstage.
Backstage is equally.
You got to support it.
Correct.
You have to support it.
More important.
Right. Yeah, those Broadway shows have a lot of touring people with a lot of trucks that come in
Correct.
with a lot of
Well,
equipment.
they do.
But Peter, do you believe that your background, your very existence gets to reverberate into that room, gets to be able to be displayed in that room at a performance?
Oh, absolutely. I started studying music in Poland. I studied literary all over the world, and all these experiences are coming together on the stage in this magnificent building, and I feel inspired conducting orchestra in this building, because this is really something we are very proud of. We are excited, and looking at the seats from the stage, that's something else.
What is it like?
It just inspires you.
We
to do
don't
better.
get to experience what you get to experience, turning around and seeing.
Well, just look
seeing
at this.
that
This is-
full of 1,800 people.
And if it's filled, it's just
What does it feel like? What is it? What comes to
it's
your
a very
mind and heart?
well, transformational. It's transformational. You're part of something bigger, something incredibly important. You're part of the community, the best community there is.
So this is a community gathering place.
It is.
This is a place for people to gather.
You're talking about that room. That room has changed lives, inspired people. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. So let's talk about legacy. Seby, what do you think will be the legacy of this building years from now? What comes to mind? Let's say it's 30 or 40 years from now. What do you think its legacy will be?
Well, the community has a tremendous of pride in that building, but I think the legacy is going to be how it really promoted and drove and said the arts are important to the Rio Grande Valley. The arts are important to the community, from the symphony to Broadway to mariachi to performing arts, musicals, plays, comedians. But the legacy is really going to be that out of everything we need, this is important. And to put that at the forefront, because it was probably the largest project of its time, probably still one of the largest projects of the city, and to really emphasize and prioritize performing arts, shows that the legacy is that we're doing this for the children, that we're also doing this for the community. And obviously there's an economic aspect to it, right? And there's for sure been an ROI to the taxpayer that's been tremendous, but it's more about the emotion and the feel and having a community that you can be proud of. They can look at that building and say, no, that's ours. No one else's. No one else has it.
Eli, architecturally speaking, what's the legacy that's left of this building from a design standpoint?
Number one, it's from this visceral feeling that you know that it actually is the only place where this building could be placed, and it makes sense. You know, everything from the mesquite wood, pecan wood, the colors along the river, the little indigo bunting bird,
It speaks of the valley?
It speaks of the valley, and so it belongs here. And then to hear the end users talk about how much they've enjoyed it and how good it's been for them. I mean, that's the ultimate thing that anyone could ever receive.
Well, it's designed for them.
Yeah, it was designed for them. And so now you're getting to hear their testimony of why they like it. And it's amazing. It's a good feeling. A couple of little interesting tips, because we mentioned the amount of concrete. Just a side note. I want to get it in there just in case we have time to do it.
We have time.
You know, I directed us, the design team, we're going to have to do this in concrete because I don't want to spend all the money and all this steel and everything. We have concrete right here. Did a real quick analysis, said this is going to solve our issues. The amount of concrete that is put into that building is enough to have a 6-foot wide sidewalk, 6 inches thick, 85 miles from McAllen all the way to South Padre Island.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But everybody didn't want to go that way. Unfortunately, that was a good decision on my part. It ended up
that's a lot of concrete.
Ended up having to drive that. So there's a lot of concrete, but it did what we needed it to do.
Absolutely.
Well,
right.
a surprise that the second part of this podcast is we're going to take a camera crew and we're going to walk from here to South Padre Island talking about what that feels like. Peter, what's the legacy going to be years from now for this building, especially with the VSO?
What is the legacy? Ultimately, better community, happier community, peaceful community. community which thrives having access to a space where live performances are taking place with very high quality, and because of that, this is a better community, better place to live.
If the building was sitting right here and it was our fifth person right here joining us, what would the building say? What would the building say about its legacy? If the building got to speak for itself?
I hope that building would say, I'm happy to have all of you. We are a great team.
What would the building say, Eli?
I got goosebumps.
The building would say, I have goosebumps. That's good. Seby, what would the building say?
I think the building for sure would say thank you, and I think the building would say I can do more.
To me, I think the building would say, I appreciate the fact that you let me be a part of your home.
Absolutely.
That I can be a home for
That's
you.
a good point.
Yeah, I think that's what comes to mind for me. Any final comments? Anything you want to add or say that we didn't get to say?
Upon your question, I hope building would say, Peter, this is the key.
Peter wants those keys to that building.
does
doesn't
want
he?
I would
key,
like to
yes.
have this key.
Any final comment that needs to be said or wasn't said that you'd like to say?
No, I mean, even being elected and knowing a lot about the building, I learned new things just in this hour about the design. So I would, ask the public to, inquire and learn about these things, because it will bring a closer connection to it. And for those who haven't gone or experienced a performance there's over 100 per year now, and they're even having dinners on the stage. I would tell you they need to go out, they need to go experience it, because it's a world-class facility.
Eli, final word?
One last little tidbit.
Go ahead.
Peter mentioned this, but when you're trying to take care of ballet or dance, you need a really large space. And for those people that don't realize it, that stage is 1.5 times the size of a professional NBA basketball court. That's most people don't realize how big it is.
Yeah, it's a large stage.
It's a large stage, but it has to accommodate a lot of varying performances.
Oh, yeah.
It's universal, and it's a terrific place. It's a terrific place.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me and spending some time talking about an amazing, what I called earlier, the crown jewel of the South Texas. And hope that we have another podcast in the future so we can do part 2, Eli.
2 and part 3.
Part 2 and part 3.
I think so.
Yeah. But thank you all.
Can
and
we
I
do it at
appreciate
the South Padre Island?
South Padre after the walk
Yeah.
on the sidewalk. Thank you so much for joining Stories Buildings Tell. Until we come back with another wonderful building, we'll see you soon. Take care.